Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, you can't all bring mashed potatoes. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great, Patrick. It's a few days out when this episode releases, but can I wish you a happy Thanksgiving? I can't believe we're already here. Like, it feels not that long ago that we were recording last year's Thanksgiving episode.
What did we do last year for Thanksgiving?
I was actually looking this up earlier because I couldn't remember either. I think it was we planned a Thanksgiving meal, and then we assigned Nintendo characters to like bring each course or something like that. I can't remember.
No. We did, and this I think was several years ago that we like got some Nintendo characters together, and then we were like, what would their Thanksgiving look like? You know, like, does Wario have his dinner catered?
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I looked it up. It is.
Yeah.
We planned a Thanksgiving menu, so that's a recurring theme, and then determine which Nintendo franchise best represents each like element of the meal.
Wait, so is that exactly what we're doing right now?
No, it's not. What we're doing right now is different.
We're discovering this in real time. Wait, how is what we're doing today different than what we did last year?
I haven't listened to last year's episode.
Right.
So I don't remember exactly. It would be funny if this turns out to be the same exact thing, but I think the difference is twofold. One, we didn't say exactly what each course is. We left that to our own determination in this episode. And two, instead of assigning franchises, we're assigning games.
Yeah, no, it's different enough. I think this is different enough.
Okay.
I honestly blacked it out of my memory. I don't remember these things when we're done recording them. But this is going to be a great episode where we're going to be making up Thanksgiving menus of Nintendo games. But before we get into that, my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. Would you like to borrow it? You absolutely can try to get on a list to do that. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. Give us a mailing address so we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want, which could be no time at all. And then you send it back. I pay for postage both ways. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there, but that's fine. That's just part of the program. Yes. So Mark, last week I was on the Rum and Wings tabletop board game podcast to talk about Marvel Snap. That is a show hosted by my buddy Pete and his friend Mike. Pete's been on this show. He hosted a news episode with me when you were out of town. It's a fun episode. I've talked about Marvel Snap here, but if you want to hear me go into greater detail, you can find that there. One last thing before we get into the show. Probably notice that this is not a news episode. We're not talking about news. We're just giving you the one episode in your feed this week because it's Thanksgiving and everyone deserves a little break. Even Mark.
I've earned it.
Mark's earned it. All right, let's get into this topic, which I'm pretty sure we haven't done before. Let's build a Thanksgiving menu out of Nintendo games. So before we jump in to the individual like courses and what games represent those courses for us, I just want to know, like, Mark, what is your experience with like hosting Thanksgiving or like participating in the food making part of Thanksgiving? Is that something that you do, or do you just show up and eat the food?
I'm about I feel like this is not okay. I'm going to preface this by saying that now that I have to reckon with this, I had never thought about this before, Patrick, but you are forcing me to reckon with it. And now that I am forced to reckon with it, I don't know that I like the answer, but I'm just a show up and eat it kind of guy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's a lot of people though, right? Like there's the person who hosts the Thanksgiving, and then there's like maybe 3 or 4 other people that like bring something, and then the rest of the guests are just show up.
Yeah. And I like I will bring something if the situation requires it, but rarely will I cook it myself.
Sure. You bringing those like soft cookies from the grocery store?
Well, I mean, probably. I would like to think that I'd be a little classier than that, but deep down, I know that's probably not true.
And also, not what people want. They want those soft cookies from the grocery store. Do you have a go-to of like a thing that you bring to a Thanksgiving?
No, not really. I guess just whatever the situation requires. These are like the worst possible answers to these questions, like the most boring, like horrible questions. So I'm gonna flip this around, and in the hopes that you have more interesting Thanksgiving situations than I find myself in. Patrick, how about you? Do you find yourself? I know that you have hosted my husband and I for Thanksgiving before.
That's right.
So is that something that you do often?
Yeah, so Sarah and I usually end up hosting a Thanksgiving for like us and 2 other people. It is, or maybe there's like one other person in addition there, and it always starts as like a group project, and then like Sarah's control thing takes over, and then she's in charge, and I'm I'm fully in support mode. But
Sarah's
when
control thing.
her control thing, yes. I stand by it. No, I mean, it's just she wants to take control of it and does. And I don't want to fight that, so I support it. And then if back when I was just a bringer of things to Thanksgiving, especially with my family, I would always default to dessert, because the traditional desserts in my family are 1 pumpkin pie and 1 pecan pie, 2 pies that I don't like. So I was like, forget it, I'm gonna start making dessert and bringing it, and there was always still a pumpkin pie and a pecan pie, but then I always brought something else that I would actually be interested in eating when dessert came around.
That feels like a good plan. If you're going to bring something to a Thanksgiving or to any meal at all, might as well be something you're going to want to eat, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, are you saying that's selfish? Are you saying I'm being selfish?
No. I'm being 100% sincere.
I think so. As we go down our lists of our Nintendo game menus, for our Nintendo Thanksgiving here, I think I am being selfish. I think I am programming this to what all these things mean to me. So maybe I am just, as it comes to like meals and meal planning, that I'm just a selfish person, and I want what I want.
I don't think that's true. I think that so the way I approached it is, and we should probably explain what we're doing, especially because
Sure. Maybe we've done it before.
Maybe we've done it before. I don't think we have. I think this is a maybe a cousin to a previous episode, but
Sure.
not the same exact thing. Although would kind of be funny if we spent a lot of time brainstorming a Thanksgiving episode and it turns out to be the same exact thing we did last year.
And also here, I'm just gonna say, if this is what we did last year, I'm giving us permission to do it again.
Okay, all right, that's all I needed. Okay, so what we're doing is we have like 5 dishes, or like courses, dish category, whatever you want to call it, that could make up a Thanksgiving meal, and they are appetizer, signature cocktail, the main dish, 2 sides of our choosing, and then dessert. And instead of planning like food for each of these, the way I thought about it is like, okay, yeah, if like somebody was coming over or people were coming over and I was going to give them a meal of Nintendo games that, with one game fitting each of these categories, how would I kind of like plan that menu to be a satisfying Nintendo feast is how I approached it.
And I approach it much the same way, but with the caveat that this implies a sort of elastic definition of time where you can play an entire 60-hour game over the course of one meal, over the course of one course of one meal, so that we're not limited to like an appetizer. This isn't a 7-minute game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're not actually like the expectation is not that we would be able to play all of this in a single sitting.
Right, unless we develop like a pocket dimension where time moves differently, and then maybe.
Would that be the same pocket dimension that we sent like a couple of those Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks to?
I mean, didn't we pull them all out? I don't think we left anything in the pocket dimension.
But it was there for a while, if nothing else.
They were there for a while. Yeah, and we don't know how time passed for them. So, I mean, it is possible that that's the same pocket dimension, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like that's a good solution.
All right, Mark, would you like to go first and reveal your appetizer?
Sure, yeah. So my appetizer for this Nintendo Thanksgiving is Wii Sports. I feel like it's a nice little like amuse-bouche of a game where, it gets people active playing in these shorter games. Feels like a nice like conversation starter. I just feel like and I also, maybe it's because when the Wii was released, but I also just associate Wii Sports with like the holidays, with family gatherings, with friends getting together. It just feels really like a part of that whole scene in my mind.
Yeah, well, in families in particular, right? Like it's a good like intergenerational like everyone can do it. This was sort of my thought too. I didn't go with Wii Sports, but like that is such a good game that you can play while also having a conversation about something else, which I feel like is the role of appetizers, where like it's got to be good. The appetizer has to be good, but it's got to also be something you can sort of ignore.
Yeah, totally. And I also feel like Wii Sports, in the same way that an appetizer is like kind of setting the tone of the meal. I feel like Wii Sports is an interesting like first game for a lot of people, or like return to gaming. Like it just feels like a good like table setting of a video game where you're not really getting into oh, this is getting really tortured, but like the meat of it. It's just kind of like a more casual like but fun disposable experience.
It is an invitation to play in the same way that an appetizer is an invitation to eat.
So yeah, so Wii Sports is the appetizer for my Nintendo Thanksgiving.
Can I ask why not Nintendo Switch Sports?
Yeah, so I think it's just familiarity for me. Like I bought Nintendo Switch Sports, like it a lot, but to my mind, the the same reason I didn't choose like Wii Sports Resort or something like that. I feel like the quintessential Nintendo Sports experience is Wii Sports, and while the other games made improvements to it, and I think Switch Sports is really good, it is not like the one that I think of when I think of like this Nintendo Sports experience.
At some point, Mark, we are going to rank the games in the Wii series, which will include Nintendo Switch Sports, and I will be curious to see where those two games fall in relationship to each other.
Yeah, because they are really similar, but also pretty different.
And like I think I like unequivocally like Nintendo Sports more, but I feel like it would be ranked lower just because like Wii Sports is that it's that iconic thing. People know that Wii Sports is like the Waggle video game,
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'm getting the impression here that I think my menu is going to be a little bit more aggressive than yours. My appetizer is a game that that should have been on my radar earlier than this, but I played it for the first time this weekend. It's Towerfall. Mark, have you ever played Towerfall?
I've played it a little bit. I feel like it was really big on Xbox Live Arcade back in the day.
Yeah, and was like an Ouya title. and is available on Switch. So I'm counting it as a Nintendo game for these purposes. But it's a 4-player. Everyone's on like one screen, trying to shoot each other with arrows and like jump around. The controls are very simple. You move left, you move right, you jump, you shoot arrows. And it's just like this elimination thing when only one person is left on the screen. Everyone takes one hit and that's it. When there's one person left on the screen, it kind of wipes the map and you start over, and everyone, got like a point for each kill they made during that. And it's so like accessible and like quick, that like it is sort of inviting the like sort of hunter mentality, right? Where it's like, yeah, we're like going after the next kill, and like the thing starts up right again. And it's so like easy to wrap your mind around. Maybe you already need a gaming background for it to be this like accessible thing, but with like just about any amount of gaming background, you can like grasp onto what is fun and cool about this game.
Ooh, I like that a lot. I like and I feel like that's a perfect fit for like an appetizer. Just kind of like strong but short.
Yes, right. Well, and also like and I think both of us were thinking this, that it's a multiplayer experience, right? I don't know that multiplayer was necessary for like the rest of these games, but it feels like an appetizer needs to be
Yeah,
multiplayer.
I completely agree. Also, I like, again, not that I'm searching for ways that this episode is different from previous episodes we've done, but
I've given you permission. You don't have to worry about
but
it.
I like how if our menus continue to diverge like this, I like how we're basically like two chefs that are making their own like fixed price menu for people to choose from.
Ooh, and people can choose this. I wonder if we talked about this last year too. People can choose which of our menus they prefer.
There's no way we talked about that last year. This is an original idea.
No,
that could
these are all new
in
ideas.
2022.
There's something that happens when you do 615 episodes of a podcast. All right. I'll do my signature cocktail next.
Okay, great.
And I was thinking, like, what is the role of a signature cocktail, right? And like, I think there are two things. One is you want to do something like sort of impressive, sort of dazzling, that has like a lot of complex flavors to it, and also like expresses something unique about like yourself or where you're from or like what you prioritize. Like I'm not going to serve a tequila drink as a signature cocktail because I don't drink tequila, right? These are like there's a very like clear sense of identity associated with it, and spectacle. But then on top of that, you also want to get messed up a little bit because you're serving a boozy drink. So I've picked a game that I believe is a spectacle, expresses my views and values, and will mess you up a little bit. I'm of course referring to Tetris Effect Connected.
Oh yes.
A Tetris game that will hypnotize you into feeling a different way and perceiving colors in a whole new way. That's basically it. I love Tetris. This is a fun, spectacular way to present Tetris, and it messes with your brain chemistry.
Yeah, that's such a good pick. I did a really kind of like similar thought process for my signature cocktail, and again, I think you're right. I think we are diverging a little bit in the aggressiveness, I guess I will say, of our menu. So my signature cocktail is I thought of something that you might want to like sip and savor throughout the entire
Oh.
meal. So just like something that's like a nice pairing with everything else, and you may not like indulge and have it all immediately, but maybe you will like drink a little bit of it, set it down, come back, do it some more. And so what the game that I picked for this is Stardew Valley, not a Nintendo first party game, but I guess kind of in the same.
Yeah, I just picked Tetris Effect, so
Yeah, but yeah, so like Stardew Valley, a game that I really really love and has kind of ruined me on that kind of like Harvest Moon esque farm
Mhm.
simulators, because I think Stardew Valley does it so well that a lot of the other games, when you go back to them, or even the newer ones, they just kind of pale in comparison. But if you are not familiar with Stardew Valley, it's available on basically every platform, including mobile, and on in your Tesla if you have one of those. But it's just the art style is kind of a throwback to 16, 32-bit pixel art, and it's just a very relaxing, well written, like farming simulator, which also has like a relationship element that just there's so much to do. The world is very inviting. It was developed initially by, or maybe primarily in its entirety, by a single person, and it's just a really cool special game that I played for the first time on Switch, and I think is just like a really great relaxing experience.
And in being that relaxing experience is sort of your like mood altering thing, right? Like it makes me think that the booze in your signature cocktail here is like a gin, and then like in mine it's like absinthe.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right.
All right. So at my party, people have played Towerfall and they've sipped their Tetris Effect Connected. At Mark's party, they've had some Wii Sports and then sipped on Stardew Valley. Which honestly, Stardew Valley would be a great name for a cocktail.
It is.
Like
it is a great
That's perfect. Mark, what is your? Do you want to do the main dish next, or do you want to do the sides first?
Ooh, I guess maybe let's do the sides.
Okay, great. Let's hear. Well, so we got a little freedom here to like choose which sides we're using. So I did like a normal green vegetable, and so it could be green beans or like Brussels sprouts or whatever, and then cranberries. What did you choose for like the food analogs for your sides?
Yeah, so I picked a like a vegetable as well, and I'm thinking not like a nothing that's been cooked in butter, really, nothing that's been has a lot of like brown sugar or something on it. Like this is the healthy element of the meal. Like this is a true vegetable. And then I did stuffing as my second side.
Okay, great. So let's start with our veggies. And Mark, why don't you go first?
Okay, so my vegetable, a game, even though I said it's not cooked in butter and doesn't have like brown sugar on it or anything, a game that I really, really like is The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass.
Okay.
And the reason I am choosing this as my vegetable is that I don't know how many people have played it, especially since it came out for the DS and hasn't been re-released. And it kind of has a wonky reputation because of like it controls Link controls entirely using like the touch screen, and there's an element in it where you go back to like the Temple of the Ocean King over and over in the game, and people did not particularly like that. But I think the Phantom Hourglass is really good and is unfairly maligned. And so the reason I chose it as the vegetable is because I think playing it will be good for you, and you may end up liking it.
I see. So it's the sort of parents' argument for why you have to eat your vegetables.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a good pick, and I think we don't talk about either of those Zelda DS games frequently enough. Like, we talk about the Spirit Tracks opening music, and then we like Linebeck and Ghost Zelda, and that's really it. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to like do a kind of deep dive into both of those games at some point.
I think it would be too, because it has been a very long time since I played Spirit Tracks. I played it when it was released, and I did not like the game at the time.
Famously hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, in my mind, do not like Spirit Tracks, but it has been so long since I've played it, like at least 15 years, that it would be, or, like something like that, close to 15 years. I actually would be really interested in giving it another shot, and I wonder what I would think about it now.
So for my vegetable, I was thinking about the phrase "eat your vegetables," right? About the connotation of like it's a thing that you have to do. It'll be good for you, but it's like an obligation, right? Something you don't want to do. And I thought I don't like that. I think we should be encouraging people eating their vegetables. It's not a chore. It's a fun, cool way to connect to the earth. Like there are very few foods that you can eat or that you can like get at a farmer's market or a grocery store or whatever that's like a real food. That's like just a real like a plant that you are eating from the earth and not like imbued with preservatives and whatever. So I'm gonna pick an exciting, fun, complete, rich experience that is also very much tethered to the earth. I'm picking Pikmin 3.
Very good.
Pikmin 3, you spend the entire time exploring an alien world as a tiny little man, or a tiny little woman, but both things happen. It's all about finding little bits of fruit. It's all about saving the Pikmin. It's all about interacting with the local flora and fauna. And so like this is all the same as getting some green beans that have been locally picked, and then just like cooking them up in a fry pan so they get like a nice like little char on them, tossing them in some butter, not like a ton of butter, you're not cooking them in butter, but like there's butter on them, and then just like a little bit of salt, and it's so great.
I love this. I love this for two reasons. One, Pikmin 3, great game. Pikmin, kind of like an unsung hero franchise of Nintendo, but also I love this little like peppy speech for vegetables. I think
I get it. I because like it enters our head, that idea, that concept when we're kids, right? And when you're kids, when you're a kid, you have more sensitive taste buds, right? Like this is a documented thing that like taste buds dull as you age. So if there is anything like bitter or off-putting about the taste of vegetables, children are genuinely experiencing that unpleasurable taste more than adults are. So I'm sympathetic to it in kids. But as you age, like figure out a way to like those vegetables, man. They're good for you. And they can taste so good.
A message from the Vegetable Council.
I'll take that title. I'll be the Vegetable Council. Mark, I'm going to do my second side now. And I went with cranberries. And before I dig in here, what are your feelings on cranberries as a Thanksgiving dish?
I actually like cranberry sauce quite a bit.
Okay. This is a thing that I don't care for on
okay.
On the
So
plate.
Cranberries are the vegetables of your world.
Cranberries are the vegetables of the Vegetable Council's world. Yeah, it's so I understand their role on a plate that is largely like basic and starchy and savory. It is something that is acidic and sweet, and there's a tartness in there that's not represented really anywhere else on the plate. So and I have from time to time really enjoyed cranberries in the context of all the rest of the food, but I would say that generally speaking, I'm not excited about the cranberries, but I would like to encounter more versions of cranberries that I do like. My cranberries are Advanced Wars. I like in concept Advance Wars. The first couple levels, every time I start the game, feel like fun. I know people like respect the heck out of the game and all that stuff. I have such a hard time getting anywhere in Advance Wars. I feel like it's a thing where like you mess up one move and you're screwed for the rest of the match. So it's a sort of like love-hate / like intrigued but mostly have negative experiences with. That's me with cranberries. That's also me with Advance Wars.
That's funny that you say that you are drawn to like, because I feel like that is entirely true. You are drawn to Advance Wars and like Advance Wars style games, because I was trying to think of the names of the like Advance Wars style indie games that have come out in the past like 5 years, and there's like
Wargroove,
Tiny Metal, Into the Breach.
Yep.
And I think, did you pick all of those up?
I have all those games,
Yeah.
And I think Into the Breach is the only one that I've like actually gotten anywhere in. But yeah, no, I haven't finished any of those games.
It's like me with like Nintendo licensed Muso games. I'm a sucker for them. What can I say?
Yeah, you got to check them out. By the way, Fire Emblem Three Hopes is on deep discount at Best Buy and probably other places for the Black Friday sale. I picked it up today.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you think about it.
We'll see if I ever turn it on.
Okay, so my second side is stuffing. And I really, I enjoy stuffing in moderation, but I think a little goes a long way, and it is the filler of a Thanksgiving meal,
Yeah, quite literally, yeah.
Yeah. Something to just kind of like uh quickly fill you up, but can still be satisfying. And so my pick for stuffing is Metroid Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS.
Slander. This is Metroid slander.
I know your experience does not match mine exactly, but for me, Metroid Samus Returns a little went a long way. Like I really liked Metroid Dread. I think they learned a lot of good lessons from Metroid Samus Returns, but I found the pacing of Metroid Samus Returns to be a little slow. I found it to have a little too much filler, but overall was like a satisfying, like entry in the Metroid franchise. And so for me, for my meal planning, I would say I would put Metroid Samus Returns in the stuffing category.
The filler is such a funny, like, I was trying to anticipate where you were going, and my first thought was that you were going to say The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, because that was totally a filler title for the Wii U, right? That just like they needed to put something out on the platform. But like that, just thinking about like the 3DS's library, that's not really the role that Samus Returns takes. But like that's certainly your experience of it, is that it felt like too much filler.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that is not the case for you. I know that you really liked Metroid.
I 100%ed it. I got everything there is to get in it. Yeah.
Samus Returns. I did not have like the patience for what that game wanted me to do. And I think one of the big improvements, honestly, that Metroid Dread made was kind of getting rid of the countering system and just speeding up the combat.
Well, the counter system is there. It's just you can move while you're doing it.
Yeah, it just makes a big difference.
Yeah. What was I going to say about had you played Metroid 2 The Return of Samus growing up? That was a favorite game of mine. So like I was just excited to be in that scenario again, but in a way that's like genuinely playable. The original Game Boy game, the sprite for Samus is so big and the screen is so small because it's a Game Boy screen, that like it reads as almost unplayable from a modern gameplay perspective. But I will respect your opinion of Samus Returns.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that Metroid Samus Returns would be a vegetable to you, and yet it is a stuffing to me.
Yes. Mark, your main dish.
My main dish is Super Mario Odyssey. I think it is a complete package, super satisfying. You want to just keep playing and playing it. It's like the equivalent of Thanksgiving leftovers. You defeat Bowser, and then you're like, oh, there is like so much more to go in this. I feel like there's not much new to be said about Super Mario Odyssey. I think it's just a really amazingly executed Mario platformer.
Yeah, it truly is. God, the like worlds and variety of like things that game makes you do, it's just really astounding. Like, yeah, I was thinking the other day about there's that slot car mini game. Do you remember that in New Donk City? Where you're just like you're just racing little remote control cars. I guess they're not slot cars. They're remote control cars. There's just like stuff like that everywhere. It was just like little mini games and different ways to like interact with Mario's environment. Just a really beautiful, wonderful game that, you can just like play forever.
Yeah, like one of the things that we do quite a bit on this show is, just make up silly pitches for Nintendo games. But one of the things that I find like so astounding about Super Mario Odyssey is just how like original it feels for being like a, like a Mario title,
Yeah.
and how it just like consistently surprised me. From like the moment it was revealed with Cappy, and then later at E3 2017 when we got like the first time we heard Jump Up Superstar, and then
Oh man.
like parts of the game itself, like it was just constantly, it was Super Mario Odyssey was just constantly surprising. And I am really looking forward to whatever the next Mario platformer is, but it feels really difficult. Like it's hard. With my limited imagination, it is difficult to see like where does Mario go next, because I feel like
Yeah.
Odyssey was so like surprising and well executed.
Well, and it's also like so satisfyingly indulgent, which I think is another way that like the main dish parallel really works. That like it is so reverential to its own history, right, and has like so much fun. Like explore, like there are those 8-bit segments where you're like in the wall and like just doing old school style platforming. That like does that make any sense within like the narrative of the game or whatever? Like, no, but it's like it's tripping all of like the right triggers in your brain to just be like a lovely experience. And so yeah, it feels like a capstone to a series, like where a cappy stone to the series. So like yeah, it's like where do you go from there?
Yeah. So
But that's also my concern with Breath of the Wild, where I'm like, how can Tears of the Kingdom how can where do we go from Breath of the Wild?
Totally. I just remind myself that we've still seen like in totality
Nothing.
like
We've seen
25 seconds
nothing.
of Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, I feel like there's still a lot more there that is yet to be shown.
We're what, 6 months away from Tears of the Kingdom
Yeah,
coming
something
out?
like that.
Or at least until it gets delayed again. That's a great pick for a main dish, Mark. And I think expresses a positive relationship between you and the turkey on that table. I'm about to express a negative relationship between myself and the turkey on the table. I don't eat meat, so I haven't eaten turkey in a long time. But even when I did eat turkey, I sort of resented its place at the center of the Thanksgiving meal because in life, in non-holiday times, you're not eating turkey. You're maybe eating sliced turkey as like a lunch meat, but like a hunk of turkey, not a normal thing that like you're encountering on a regular basis. And like it can be a little bit, it can be enjoyable. I don't want to take away from the fact that like turkey can taste good, and I do get that, but it feels weird to me that it's a food that we like put up on this pedestal and then don't eat it the rest of the year. So something that's big is like the main event takes a long time to get through. You're eating it for weeks and weeks after the meal. You kind of like it, but also you kind of don't like it. What am I describing video game wise here? It's got to be Donkey Kong 64. A game that is too much game that you're going to be playing forever, well past the point that you lost the taste for it. But when you turned it on initially and you're Donkey Kong running around, he got a coconut gun to shoot some Kremlings. You were like, this is the best. It's the same thing as that like first piece of turkey that Dad carves off with that electric knife, right? And then weeks later, as you're making another Thanksgiving sandwich, that's when you're trying to find all the music pads so that you can make Lanky Kong play the trombone and get a giant blue banana from it.
Very good. I mean, this message also brought to you by the Vegetable Council.
I can't help it, man. That was my relationship with turkey before I stopped eating it. So
yeah, no, I think that is I think that's totally fair. I will say there's no law requiring you to have turkey at Thanksgiving.
I think there might be. I think there's a law. But I will also say that like I've had maybe 8 or 9 vegetarian Thanksgivings since it just in my life, and there's no real like substitute for a turkey. Like there's I've not found something that like feels satisfying like that. So maybe this year we'll just play Donkey Kong 64.
I was gonna say, okay, can we map that back to Donkey Kong 64? Is there nothing quite as satisfying as playing Donkey Kong 64? I don't think that's true.
I mean, I do think Donkey Kong 64 is a singular entity, that there is nothing, even other games that are sort of like it, like the Banjo-Kazooie games or Mario 64 or even like Yooka-Laylee or whatever. They're all sort of like it, but also like it is so itself that like no one else can touch it.
Yeah, it's true. And when they decided to revive the Donkey Kong series, they didn't harken back to Donkey Kong 64 to do that. But maybe in this rumored Donkey Kong game, we'll get some lanky trombone.
And that's really all I want. What we remember when Trombone Champion when that was floating around. Nintendo should have gotten it. Put Lanky in there. It's a real missed opportunity.
That'd be a great return of Lanky Kong.
Yes, it would. Because where is Lanky Kong? Where's he been?
Maybe that's the plot of this next game. Lanky Kong is missing.
All right. We are now ready to move on to our final course here, which is, of course, dessert. I will go first. Dessert, got to be a relaxing time. You have to be able to like lean back, sip it with coffee, and then, just discuss everything. It's a reflective time. It is a happy time. It truly has to be joyful, right? Like, if you're eating dessert and you're not happy about it, then you're doing it wrong. So happy, relaxing, can be a nice slow course that takes the rest of the afternoon. My video game equivalent here is Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise, where you are just tasked with making a house for a little animal villager who wants nothing more than to vacation with 3 objects, a wheel of cheese, a nice wooden stool, and a brown refrigerator. And you make that house, and he's so excited. But you can spend as much time as you want decorating it, and you can make it as nice and as friendly as you want. And it's just a nice, happy, good time. And at the end of it, he's delighted. You're delighted. It's dessert, baby.
I love that. I feel like that's such a good pick. Like, even when you were describing, what you want out of a dessert, it like Happy Home Paradise does remind me of that post-meal cup of coffee where, you've done the work of the main meal. You've done the work of like playing a lot of Animal Crossing New Horizons, where there's a lot of like mini systems and you're digging things up and running around trying to catch bugs and stuff. And then Happy Home Paradise is just like the fun parts of Animal Crossing New Horizon just open to you.
Yeah, we're just like, go now, use all the tools. Like, we're not gonna hamper you with like, you can't buy. We don't have enough money. No. You just get it all. Put whatever you want in there. That's put the whipped cream on your pumpkin pie. Of course, put the slice of cheese on your slice of apple pie. Like it's perfect. It's so indulgent. You just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's great. I really love that a lot. My pick is a little bit different. I think a little more like action focused, but the same sort of idea where I have a bit of a sweet tooth, and so I love capping a meal off with like a really like sweet dessert, something that maybe like is too sweet. And for that reason, I picked Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Which I think, when we had our discussion of it, I think maybe is my favorite Kirby game. And I would argue maybe the best Kirby game. But Kirby as a character is just kind of like that perfect little dessert of a character. Super sweet.
Yeah, it's true.
Packs a punch. I love Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and I think it'd be a good capstone to Nintendo Thanksgiving.
And just like Kirby in general is such a good choice for this category because, first of all, like, admit it, we've all thought about eating Kirby. We think it'd be good. But the other thing is that like there's very little pushback from a Kirby game, right? Like There's some sort of friction if you want to like find all the stuff or whatever, but like for the most part, you can just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, Mark, that is a great menu that you've put together. I do think it's interesting that yours got more aggressive at the end and mine chilled out at the end.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Well, let's close this segment out. All right. If I would love to hear other people's menus if they were to program from a list of Nintendo games or not Nintendo games. We didn't stick to first party Nintendo, so you can do whatever you want. Email us Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. You can follow us on Twitter I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Discord. You should join our Discord. Email or tweet at us for an invitation to it. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying Happy Thanksgiving.